Temperatures are starting to rise after the winter months, and with that the demand for water has also gone up. But for some communities in parts of Johannesburg, the taps are already running dry. A combination of infrastructure failure and inadequate maintenance, compounded by power cuts and high consumption, have left reservoirs critically low. Johannesburg Water and the city's Environment and Infrastructure Services Department are now have now just given an update on the ongoing water crisis. Our reporter Heidi Giokos was there and joins us here in the studio. A little bit of Russian roulette for many citizens in big parts of Johannesburg. When they open the tap, will there be water? Won't there be water? Will it be a trickle? Will it be back tonight? And you kind of don't know how to organize your life around it. For more seriously, for many communities that haven't had water for quite some time. What have we heard from Johannesburg Water in that update that they gave today?
Well, Marcel, I would say that it's really a battle in the city of Johannesburg, because if you don't have electricity, you'll have water, and now you have electricity, but you don't have water. So it doesn't seem as though you won, actually. But Joburg Water has basically blamed it on a very high demand and high consumption due to spring, indicating that because of a number of issues at Rand Water, which is the bulk water supplier that supplies to municipalities and to Joburg Water, it's been a difficulty in getting the reservoirs filled up quickly and on time because of the high consumption and high demand. There was also a storm that happened on Tuesday night, which affected the Zekerbosch water treatment plant, which seems to have caused significant damage. But many are saying that this is not actually what's going on here, because it's not the first time you have spring, it's not the first time you have people using a little bit of more water. It's the same thing that happens in winter. In winter, when it starts getting colder, people start using heaters. The electricity demand goes up. So the same thing is going to happen in spring. You're going to have people wanting to water their gardens, fill up their swimming pools, you know, wash their cars outside on a Sunday afternoon, whatever the case might be. But surely Joburg Water should be in a position to say, okay, this happens all the time. These specific areas overuse water. Let's try and find a way to deal with that and not have a blanket approach to the rest of the residents who are really struggling. I think at the heart of this, though, are communities that just are being completely ignored and neglected. So areas like Claremont, Crosby, Brixton, Melville, all these areas are it's a big worry, because there's hospitals and clinics in the area. Hospitals have now had to take matters into their own hands and provide water to hospitals through private contractors, because the water tankers are not keeping up with the demand, because there needs to be constant water supply to these hospitals. So Joburg Water claims that they're doing everything they can. Water will be restored in certain areas by tomorrow, specifically Midrand, Sandton and surrounding areas, and by next week. For example, areas in the south that have been severely affected will only have water by next week. Let's listen to what some of the problem is and the solution.
As at Friday, 22 September, rainwater system has started improving. Although there are certain key reservoirs that feed Johannesburg Water that are still low, rainwater is shifting loads in order to balance the system. Some of Johannesburg Water system that are seeing improvements and receiving normal flow, including Midrand, where we are experiencing improvement overnight in the reservoir levels. We also expect some improvements overnight in Sandton Ilovo system. Johannesburg Water system that are still under immense strain include following: South Hills Tower and Pump Station, Crown Gardens, Commando System, Naturena, Midrand System, Alexander Park, as well as Sandton Ilovo Reservoir System.
Heidi, throughout the day, since yesterday and the day before already, we've been speaking to experts who have just dismissed out of hand the idea that all of this is caused by high consumption. Because my contention is, when the statement came out, it was like, but it just started being hot like the other day, and all of a sudden it seems like overnight we've used up all the water and it's all of your fault, and now there's no more water. Because normally when restrictions are put in place because they see an increase, our rainy season hasn't really started, and there's a gradual working towards trying to manage our water usage, and this just seemed to happen overnight. What is the city saying to residents regarding water usage at the moment?
But it's such a good point that you make, Marcel, because you can't tell me that literally overnight we've used I'm just giving an example, 20% of the water that more than what we should have used. That realistically, that does not happen. And areas have been without water, for example, in the south. Last week, Friday, I did a story in the south where residents didn't have water for 18 days. That was before it started getting warmer. Part of the excuse has also been stage 6 load shedding. So they've been struggling to pump water to the reservoirs, and this has obviously caused the big problem with reservoirs really running empty. But at the heart of all of this, I do think that there's a major maintenance and infrastructure problem here. And the MMC actually saying, we are very worried about the city. The infrastructure is dilapidated, but surely as an MMC, you should find a solution to this. This infrastructure didn't just come out of nowhere. It's actually been there for some time. You know that you need to maintain. Why are you not maintaining? And I'm very worried, Marcel, that we are going to have a situation like we do with our electricity, where water might be on for certain hours of the day and not for other hours. And you can't survive without water. With electricity, you work around it. But with water, it's life, and it's very difficult not to have water when you need it and as you need it. I think what was absolutely mind-boggling, and I expressed this in the briefing, the statement says that we should limit our showering time. So we should actually not shower for a long period. I understand the issue around don't fill your bathtubs up, don't water your garden excessively, especially during midday. You know, if you can, just use a bucket to wash your car, not the actual hose pipe. And I understand that we need to be cognizant of how much water we consume. They even went as far as saying, when you brush your teeth, just use half a glass.
Because what it reminds you of is what residents in Cape Town went through when there was this shadow of day zero hanging over them for so long. Can you remember that?
Yes.
And then it was set a timer for your shower, use grey water to flush your toilets, all of that. Have we just woken up and all of a sudden that's the approach we need to be taking in this city as well?
But surely that's not the case, because that's not the message that they're giving us. All they're saying is use water sparingly, be cognizant, there's overconsumption, it's springtime. Stop washing your cars. If you're going to wash your cars, be very careful how much water you use. The shower thing was at the ever end for me.
I haven't washed my car in a very long time, so it's not me. I'm just saying.
I mean, the shower was just like, how much less can you use in the shower? You know, like, we're cognizant of the fact that you have to be careful when it comes to water consumption. I mean, the environment that we are in now with climate change and water scarcity, I completely understand it, but surely residents should also not be bearing the brunt for water leaks and burst pipes that cost Joburg Water 20% loss. And for Joburg's size and capability, it's only supposed to be 10%. We are at 24%. So that's why residents are saying, but I'm not even near where you are as Joburg Water, so let me use what I need to use and actually give me water so that I can use what I need to when I need to shower. Let's listen to the part where we were told to limit our showering time.
But when we say that residents must use water sparingly, we are not only referring to the current situation now. We are speaking generally from now going forward. It should be a habit on our own residents. We want to change the mindset of our people in terms of how they use water. We must indicate, MD, that at some stage, a couple of weeks ago, Rainwater was beginning to do some water cuts in Johannesburg. There's a concern that we're over-consuming in Johannesburg, so we can't. There's a number of kiloliters that we must use. Once we reach above, then we become penalized by rainwater. So we'd have reached our own license requirement. But I think it's general attitude that people must change. How we do our car wash in our own townships and everywhere. People are living, when you do bath your own, yourself, brushing your own teeth, you must use a cup, not just leave the... I'm saying, Heidi, don't just use the tap flowing full time while you are busy brushing. The tap is flowing.
Brush your teeth. I mean, we're having a giggle about it. Can I just say to everybody that I work with, please let us not brush our teeth. I know we need to use water sparingly, but can we at least do that? We already perhaps won't have power, water is scarce. Can we just continue to brush our teeth at least? We speak for a living. Heidi, thank you so much for that. I do assume this is not the last time we're speaking about this. Maybe next week I'll speak to you about electricity. It seems to be one or the other in this economic hub of the continent called Johannesburg. Thank you so much for that update.